Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and as always, here with my husband, Noel. How is everybody? I am going to be like straight up, good evening, Southern Charm. Thank you, Kim Landry. I don't like it today, so full honesty here. I didn't wash it this morning, so it was like this, and my daughter had curled it, so I'm like, oh, I'll just copy my 15-year-old because she curled it really cute the other day. I have zero skill, zero talent when it comes to curling my hair. And then it got really puffy and I'm like, oh, what the hell? It is what it is. But I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Because I'm not feeling it today. I'm just not. But we're going to probably be with each other for about an hour tonight if you guys hang in here. Probably not going to be a super long show. I am exhausted today. It is one of those days where I'm just like, I'm going to do my thing. But then when it's over, I'm going to go to bed. So that's where I'm at right now. Anyways, we're going to talk about, hello, Josie. We're going to talk about handling problem transactions. So how do we account for them? Mainly refunds. But how do we account for them? And just some of the other customer service stuff. This morning, we talked about how do we protect our brand and our energy. And tonight, it's more about how do we protect our business finances through things like when stuff like refunds happen or other transactions. And when we think about refunds, just imagine you sell something expensive, it's $100, it arrives broken to your customer. We think it's really simple. We think, oh, it's just a quick little refund. You actually have a bunch of different choices that you have to make, and every choice leads to a different accounting solution. So you could do a full refund, partial refund, UPS claim. You could have them return the item. The customer can keep the item. You can deny it altogether, or you can send them a replacement. Every single one of those affects your records just a little bit differently, and it kind of also affects the documentation you need to keep. So I just want to kind of keep that in the back of our minds as we go through here, that while we think it's super simple and clean cut, it isn't as always, straightforward as it may appear on the surface. Every choice creates some type of paperwork, some type of financial consequence. Before we go there, I'm super curious. How many of you do your own accounting? Or not accounting, I'm sorry. I told you my brain is dead. I'm glad you do your accounting. Do your own customer service. How many of you are in Whatnot customer service, that Southern Charm, that if something happens and a customer wants a refund, they have a complaint of any type, that it comes to you? So those are all filtered straight to you, and you have to be the one to reply. Josie, if you're in it, you probably would know. So they had a beta. At first, for the longest time, you had to sign up for their beta. I think they've closed that. They are rolling it out to all sellers. I've heard September 1st. Don't quote me on that date. If anybody knows for sure, please put it in the chat. I've heard it's September 1st, but all sellers are going to get it. What I wanted to say about it is that it is actually a good thing. It is having your own customer service is actually really nice, because before I had my customer service, I had no clue if somebody was making a claim, if somebody said that something was broken, maybe they got it and said it was not as described, whatever the case may be, it went to Whatnot. Whatnot handled it. Every now and then, if you go digging through your account health, you may be able to track down and see some information on that. But it wasn't like there in my face. I was just happy, going along doing my business, not really realizing that anything may have been happening in the background. And that was, I felt, hurting me as a seller. I'm sorry, what are you trying to tell me, my love? I already answered that, thank you. So I think that was hurting me as a seller, because part of what we get from seeing what's happening and handling our own customer service is seeing if there are patterns or trends. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. So if you are handling your customer service, look at it as something really good. It's information for your business. But before we even get down the road that far, we are talking about how documentation protects you. So if something goes wrong, we should be documenting it in some way, shape, or form. And that documentation, it's not because, oh, I might get audited, I better have this. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's because, how many of you can remember what happened 6 months ago? Did anybody do a refund 6 months ago? Maybe, maybe not. So our memories aren't good bookkeeping tools. Our memories aren't good. Yeah, same here, Southern Charm. I can barely remember what I ate for breakfast, let alone what happened 6 months ago. Sometimes I'll go back and look at my history of like customer service, and it's not like there's a lot there, but there'll be something from 6-7 months ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot it. I forgot that even happened. Like I forgot I even sold that thing, or that had arrived broken, or whatever it is. So our documentation isn't about taxes. It's really about our memories kind of suck for things like that, right? We're going to remember something big. We're going to remember a bad experience. But if it's something that just happens in the normal course of business, we're probably not going to remember it. So that's why the documentation is so important. And it's not about perfection. By any means, it's not about perfection. It's about you having a process. You having a process to document what you need to document. And when I say document, what am I talking about? A few things that every time you do a refund, every time there's a customer service type request, not just refunds. I'm kind of focused on that because that has the biggest impact to us. But any customer service request, what should you be documenting? Well, one, what happened? When did it happen? So the date. How much was there a financial impact? Do you need to to back off some of the income that you recorded? What action you took and why. So 5 pieces of information. Basically, what, when, where, how, and why. And how much. Those are the things you should be writing down. And it doesn't have to be fancy. A logbook, a piece of paper, an Excel sheet. Some of that information is already captured in Whatnot for you, so you don't have to duplicate it. But those are the things you should be keeping track of. We're going to get to why that's so important in just a minute. But I want you to think about the example of if you were to sell something, okay, something for $75 and it broke. You're like, yep, look, USPS broke it. I'm so sorry. Here's your money back. If you never do anything else, you just do that. Well, right off the bat, you made a $75 sale. That's $75 of income that you now have on your books. If you don't record the refund, if you don't take that income off, you're going to end up overpaying in taxes at the end of the year. So this is a big point that a lot of people miss. They're like, oh, well, Whatnot will handle that. It'll be on my 1099. It'll be in my records. It's not. Whatnot does not include that on your 1099. So just out of curiosity, for those of you who have had to refund customers' money, do you always go into your bookkeeping and take that off of your revenue? Or record it as a separate expense so that you can net it together? I'm getting crickets, which tells me maybe not. So everyone say no. I know. So you record as a refund. Perfect. And that's what you should be doing, because let's think about this throughout the year. Even if you're like, oh, I only have 1 or 2 refunds a year, it's not much. It's not much, but do you want to pay taxes, extra taxes, if you don't have to? Let's just say you had $200 of refunds. You're in a 20% tax bracket. On that $200, that's $40. That could be $40 of tax that you're saving yourselves. Now, we're not talking hundreds or thousands at this point. I'm using a very small example mainly to keep the math easy for me to do in my head. But if you record income, that's a sale. You have that revenue. You've recorded that revenue. And then you don't do anything, and you're not really paying a whole lot of attention. The end of the year comes, Whatnot gives you a 1099, and you're like, I'm going to use the number Whatnot has, and you just use that for your income. Guess what? Whatnot doesn't include that refund on that 1099. Whatnot's 1099 amount is gross. That's why it's so important for you as the seller to be keeping track of those refunds so you can back that off of your income. If you're doing what you should be doing as a seller, packing right, describing things right, are you going to have a lot of refunds? Probably not. But I don't want to pay any more in taxes than I have to pay. So that's a big point right there. The other side of it is we talk about doing our accounting, not just for taxes, but doing it to make good business decisions. If I'm not recording a refund that happened or a return or a damaged item in my books, I'm overstating my revenue. I'm saying, oh, I had this much money this month. And now when I'm looking back, or I'm making projections or comparing one month to the next, I'm not comparing apples and apples, because that's not the correct revenue amount. So just making sure that you're recording it. I'm going to move a little bit away from the accounting side. And you guys, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. It doesn't have to be about this. We can do like seller support questions too. So I do want to talk about calm responses reduces escalation. And this morning we talked about how do we handle like rude people? How do we protect our brand from people being rude in our chat, and how we respond in reviews? Well, that happens too here when we're talking about any type of a problem transaction. I mentioned this morning that in Whatnot, your customer service is out in the open, out in the public. Well, a lot of times we're doing customer service here in a show with people watching, and they're looking at you, seeing how you're going to react to things that people say, or we're responding to maybe a not so nice review, and that's public. Like, people are looking at this, where that's a little bit different than in a brick and mortar. It's usually just maybe another customer or two might overhear. It's a lot more private. So I think in this type of platform, we have to be even more conscientious of how we're handling problem transactions, because it's very, very public, and that can really, like we were talking this morning, hurt your brand. But it could just paint a bad picture of yourself here too. So I want to talk about every problem, and think about this, how it relates to you, and if it rings true to you at all. Any problem always begins as an emotional problem, right? If you're a buyer, you get something that's broke or something not as described, there's a gut emotional reaction like, oh man, that seller, they didn't pack it right. And then you as a seller, when you get notified, is like, oh, that wasn't me. I put a lot of bubble wrap. You dang USPS, or, so it's usually emotion on both sides. Any problem usually starts as like this firecracker emotions, but they should never end that way. So the key is to make sure that no matter how they start, any problem never ends emotionally. Take a breath. You don't have to respond to your customer service messages within an hour. It could be the next day. It's okay to wait and sleep on it. Come at it with a clear head, a clear, just being able to breathe and think through something. I just received something today that I paid a lot of money for and found out that it was a counterfeit. So you emailed Whatnot. That must have made you feel terrible. Like, when you got that, you're probably kind of heartbroken, right? You're probably looking forward to getting it, and you're probably like, oh man, that sucks. Yeah, devastated. And this is what we have to do, is as sellers, we have to put ourselves in the buyer's shoes and be like, how does the buyer feel when they get that item? They were looking forward to it. They spent their money on it. They're probably waiting, checking their mailbox for it, or watching for when the USPS guy came by and dropped it on their porch, whatever it may be. I got a question. Did you reach out to the seller? Because let's think about it. I tend to believe, and I like to believe, that the majority of sellers are honest to goodness people. Are there bad ones out there? Absolutely. But I want to say the majority are honest to goodness people. Maybe they didn't know it was a counterfeit. Maybe they didn't know that it wasn't a real whatever it is that you were purchasing. I did reach out to the seller, but did not get a response. So in that case, that's just really terrible customer service. I am sorry you had to go through that. Yeah, I'm curious how you knew it was a counterfeit, unless it was just something you're very familiar with, or just like you knew it. I would have a hard time telling counterfeit things. So as a seller, that was part of the reason that scared me in jewelry when I was starting to try to go into jewelry. But I am very nervous about selling counterfeit things. So let's go back to talking about how they should never end emotionally. So let's think about this. Customers usually want two things. When something goes wrong, when there's a problem of any type, customers want two things. And Rustic, tell me if this rings true to you. Oh, it's supposed to be a Mosser. See, now, I mean, I don't know how it was represented. I can't speak for the seller. I didn't witness any of the transaction. A lot of times tend to try to give grace, because I know for me, sometimes it's hard to identify. I've sold a swung vase and thought it was L.E. Smith. The customer got it and they're like, this isn't L.E. Smith, it's this type. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I Google lensed it. I'm not an expert. And a lot of us aren't experts in the things we sell, especially with vintage, because there's such a variety, but you do your best, right? But tell me if this rings true to you. This was specifically said online and on the description that it was in fact. So, I mean, yeah, it could definitely be misrepresented. So, when you had a problem though, Rustic, does this sound familiar to you? Because most customers, when there's a problem, they want two things. Who's going to get that giveaway? Mama's Couch. Congratulations. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
One, they want to feel heard. So when you have a problem, when your customer has a problem, they want to feel heard. And the other thing is they want to be treated fairly. These are the two things that all of us as buyers on this app, if there's any type of problem, that we want. We want to feel heard. We want you to hear you. Like Rustic, I'm imagining you wanted them to say, you know, hey, this is a fake. And for them to be like, oh, I hear you. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. And you wanted to feel that you were going to be treated fairly with either let me replace it, let me refund you, some type of solution to the problem. So if we put ourselves in that mindset and we think about it from the buyer side, it should really be super easy to respond to these without an emotional reaction to it. So the person I purchased this from was selling mainly Mosser and other well-known name brands. Okay. The fact that they didn't answer you, it kind of sucks. That's bad. Not kinda, it does. I still, most of the time, would want to try to offer grace, and I would probably reach out again, and if the seller didn't respond, I'm going to tell you a story about something that recently happened to me in a minute. Who is that? Jenny the Junker. Thank you so much for bringing your friends over today.
Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
Jenny the Junker, thank you very much. Y'all, my name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are doing supposed to be a tax talk, but we're really talking about handling problem transactions and how do we do that professionally and how do we protect ourselves. Jenny the Junker, please put in the chat who you are, what you sell, when you sell it, all the details so that anybody who likes what they see can click on you and follow. And I appreciate you coming over. So Rustic says, well, I've not made a bad review, so they still have an opportunity to give me some kind of information to make it right. And there you go. You want to feel like you're treated fairly. And that, at the end of the day, that is all customers want. A lot of customers will overlook a problem or be accepting, maybe not overlook it, but they'll be accepting of a problem if they feel that their complaints are heard and that they're treated fairly. Two really, really simple things that us as sellers can give them without a whole lot of effort on our part, right? Most people don't get upset until they feel ignored. Like Rustic, until they don't get a response to that email, until you just flat out not, acknowledging their existence or their problem whatsoever. They want to feel heard. So salvaging the relationship by putting yourself in the buyer's shoes is probably the best thing that we can do. And I can guarantee you that most times if you put yourself in your buyer's shoes and you're just like, no matter if you're right or wrong, if you're just like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I know you were expecting this. That must be so disappointing to you. What can I do to make this better? Can I give you a refund? Can you go ahead, please put in for a refund? I'm going to issue that right away. 9 times out of 10, you're going to salvage that relationship and they'll still come back to you. There is a whole, what's it called? I wrote it down here. Hold on, let me find. There is a whole, it's called service recovery paradox. There's a whole psychological thing around this called service recovery paradox, where if you handle a problem as a customer service person, okay, as a seller who has to provide customer service, if you handle the problem the right way, a lot of times the customer will actually feel more loyalty and attachment to you than they would had the problem never existed. That they will build that trust and that commitment to you because of the way you handled the problem, and it can actually strengthen a relationship more so than if there never was a problem. And I know that sounds a little weird, but there's a true component to that by being transparent, by being honest, by putting yourself in the buyer's shoes, that you can actually salvage a relationship and make it stronger than it was to begin with. Southern Charm's like, it's true. And look at y'all. Southern Charm knows. She's been a customer of mine for a long time. And by this point, going on 2 years, she's probably received 4 or 5 broken things that I'm aware of. And not on purpose. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to break this and send it to her. A lot of times it's USPS. There's probably been a time or two that maybe I didn't do a good enough job. But you make it right. You'll always make it right. Mama says, I had a box with 3, oh wait, hold on. Let me go back up first before I get to yours, Mama. Sorry. Rustic says, I have personally had 2 of my shipments and items that are right to them in perfect condition broken, and they gave me a bad redo. See, that's sad. You know what? Bad reviews, you answer them professionally and kindly. That's all you can do. I'm so sorry. And that's what you do. I'm sorry. You know, what more can we do as a seller? If we're doing what we're supposed to on the front end, and then it happens, we can learn from it. We're going to talk about identifying like trends and systems and how to fix that. And we can apologize and make it right. Mama says, I had a box with 3 broken items. I tried to go to the seller, and their way of fixing was sending me coupons where I still had to buy more items. So mamas, did they even offer... See, I kind of see this as twofold, because I have in the past, if something breaks, I'm so sorry, go to Whatnot, click on the refund so that I can hit authorize and get you your money back. But then a lot of times there's many sellers that will write a message, hey, I'm so sorry this happened. Let me give you a coupon. It's just an extra way of saying I'm sorry. We can't just put money in your pocket. We can't, you know, a lot of us aren't just going to put something else free in the mail and send it. But we can give a coupon. That is a realistic thing we can do over and above the refund process. I've seen other people say the buyer has to return the item. They go directly through Whatnot and didn't return anything, and I didn't even know about it. So if Whatnot's handling your customer service, Whatnot has the right to request that item to be sent to them, instead of coming back to you, to be sent to them. Because a lot of that time, Whatnot is covering the refund to the buyer on your behalf. So if Whatnot, if they're not taking it out of your ledger and they're covering that refund, they have every right to have that item sent to them. Then if we're doing our own customer service, it is up to us as sellers if we want the item back or not. And I've had some experiences with that where there's certain times that I will request an item back, and there's times where I'm like, hey, I'm just going to refund you. There's no sense in you sending this back to me. I've asked, why didn't you let me make it right for you? And I got ghosted. Here's the thing. What I want to pick the broken item. Oh yeah, Whatnot's going to absolutely, and any seller is going to ask for pictures of a broken item too. That's a total realistic thing. If you're a buyer and you contact a seller and say my item got here and it was broken, you should just be sending pictures right off the bat. Don't make them ask for it. Send them pictures. That is a seller's right to see what happened, for a couple of reasons. One, we want to know it's truthful. There are scammers on both sides. It's not just some sellers that are scammers. There are some buyers that are scammers. So we're doing it, one, as proof and documentation for our own records. And two, we want to know, looking at the picture helps us understand, did we not wrap it correctly? Particularly for those of us who don't always do our own shipping. Was there something wrong in the shipping that I need to correct a staff member about? There are a process that I need to implement. I'm going to talk about how we just had a mess up in shipping here in my house and how we fixed it, and what we've done, how we identified it. So I'm just making sure I'm not missing comments. 3 coupons, $5 off, 15. They asked me not to go to Whatnot. Now, mamas, that is wrong. You always have a right to go to Whatnot. Sellers, and I don't care if you guys agree with me on this or not, because I know sellers like to handle refunds by giving coupons or by PayPal or some other means outside of Whatnot. Every single refund should be handled through the Whatnot system. That's protection for the buyer and that's protection for the seller. It is kind to both sides of the transaction. Sending somebody, oh, give me your Venmo, let me Venmo you the money, that's just setting both of you guys up for a bad experience. It shouldn't be, don't go to Whatnot, I'm going to give you coupons. That is a real fault right there on the seller's customer service. Yeah, I feel like when they do other than through Whatnot, they're just being shady. Exactly, that's how I feel. I learned the hard way through pictures from the buyer about filling the spaces. There you go. So the good grubs, you made a mistake, you learned, the pictures helped you learn, and you changed I'm sure you changed your process because of it. And that's what I mean. Sometimes those pictures and having that information helps us be better in what we're doing. Because again, hello, Medic Girl. The majority of us are out here trying to be good, honest to God, best sellers we can be. And all we want is for you guys to get your items in the best shape. And we want to learn from it. If we're messing up, we want to learn. I always tell them to go to one. Yeah, always tell them to go to one. Then you give a coupon as a little extra. I'm so sorry. Like, I appreciate you. I'm sorry. We are there. Look, I am a firm believer that 99% of the sellers here on Whatnot are just trying to make an honest living. That they're not out there scamming. They don't know what they don't know. They're just learning. When I first couple of sales on Whatnot, prior to Whatnot, most of my reselling were in things that were not breakable, flip-flops and things that were easy to ship. When I started Whatnot was with breakables. I was wrapping in tissue paper, and I'm not talking about good bubble wrap and stuff. I'm talking about like tissue paper that you put in gift bags. I thought that was enough. Probably my first 2 or 3 orders were broken that I shipped on Whatnot. Whatnot covered it, but I didn't even know at the beginning because Whatnot was handling that until I went and looked and realized like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? So we learned from that. And it's okay to like be transparent about your mistakes. I can honestly talk about it because I can also say out of, I don't know how many orders I've shipped at this point, I have less than like 0.5% of a problem. Like if I took all of the claims together, it's like less than 0.5% of my total orders. So that's another thing you should be looking at. If you were to add every single customer service problem that's ever been recorded on your Whatnot account, whether you're doing your own or not, yes, I was a rookie, whether you're doing your own or not, what percentage compared to your sales? If you're up at 10, 15%, that can indicate that there's a big problem somewhere in the shipping or the descriptions, depending on why they're returning it. This is another reason why I say it's important to keep a log. Give me 1 second. This is why it's important to keep a log, because if you're keeping a log of these service problems, whether it be item not as described, it broke in shipping, whatever it may be, you can look for trends. If you get 4 or 5 people wanting to get their money back because the item was not as described, what would that tell you? Maybe I need better lighting, maybe I need better descriptions, maybe I need to spend a little more time telling about the item. What if you get 3 or 4 people who are saying the item is broken? Maybe my shipping process isn't good. Maybe I need a different type of bubble wrap. Looking at the trends and why people are requesting it in total, like over a period of time, can help you identify problems within your own processes. Can you go over the insurance that we get and how we go about as a seller if something breaks getting reimbursed? Absolutely. If Good Grabs, if Whatnot is handling your customer service for you, they will file the claim. There's nothing you need to do. They pay for the claim, they file the claim and get the money back. Now, if they take it out of your ledger, they're assuming that you don't qualify for USPS. So if Whatnot's handling your customer service and they're like, look, we got this claim, we're taking that money back from you, that's because Whatnot, based on the pictures and the information they got, has decided that it doesn't qualify for USPS insurance. If it does qualify, they're handling it, you never see it. Now, if you're handling your own customer service, what happens is customers go in through Whatnot, they request the refund, that request immediately comes to you with whatever note the customer put on there. Item broken, let's just say it was broken. Item was broken, and if they put pictures, you'll see the pictures, you'll see what the customer wrote. At that point, you as the seller have the choice to offer a full refund, partial refund, ask for the item back. And then if the reason was that it was broken shipping, if that's why the reason that the customer selected, you will also have another button that says file a USPS claim. You click that button, it's like a little toggle switch, and that claim is filed for you automatically. You get an email saying that it's been filed, and whenever it's approved, that money goes back to your ledger. Takes a few weeks usually. So it depends on who's doing the customer service. Now keep in mind, come September, we're all going to be doing our own. I was in a show where they were telling people to use USPS envelopes for packing, and they got mad. Oh, mamas, I'm so sorry. A lot of times if people are doing things wrong and giving incorrect information, they don't like to be corrected. I've been in the same boat where I've said something and had somebody get mad at me. I've been blocked because I've messaged people privately that like, hey, you can't do that, or you can't, whatever it may be is against terms of service. I'm sorry. I'm thankful that you were spreading good information, but people are just jerks. People don't like to be told when they're wrong. A lot of people just can't handle it. But you are correct. We cannot use USPS packing inside the boxes. The free envelopes, that's not what they're for. So when we handle our own claims, how do we not be prejudiced for ourselves if somebody says something came and it was XYZ? Here's the deal, Rustic, and this is kind of where we're getting at right now. Does it serve you right to fight the claim? First of all, if you're doing it yourself, you can't deny a claim. You can't flat out deny it. You have to offer a full refund or a partial refund, and you can request the item to be sent back, or you can let them keep it. Or you can escalate it to Whatnot. Here's how it usually works. Somebody will email. Now, if it's I don't want to say a decent or a good buyer. If it's a buyer with some conscience, Josie, you got that giveaway.
Congratulations.
If it's a buyer with some conscience, what they'll do is reach out to you first. And they'll DM you and they'll say, hey, I just want to let you know this is what happened. That gives you the first chance to make amends. I'm so sorry, please put in for a refund. Or, hey, I'm sorry, can you send me a picture? I had this just happen to me. I sold two little piano babies like a week ago. I thought they were fine. I've looked at my video. I didn't see any issues with them. The buyer got it. She says one of the tips of the fingers was broken on the baby. And she's like, it's not as described. I'm so sorry. You must be so disappointed. Can you please send me a picture? That's what there was no picture there. I looked at the video. I couldn't figure it out. And it's the seller's right to ask for a picture. I never got a picture. What I got back instead was, don't worry about it. I'll just sell it and make sure I note the call out. Okay. So then I respond, I am so sorry. You must have been so disappointed. Here is a coupon as a form of apology and to show my appreciation for you. End of discussion. Now, had she sent a picture, I would have taken it to the next step and said, again, I'm so sorry. Please go to Whatnot and request a refund. I can either offer you a full refund upon return or give you a partial refund if you'd like to keep those items. So when we get those requests from Whatnot, think about, does it serve us to argue with them? Where does it serve you? Now, some people, I've had experiences that it was out and out, like, I'm going to use the word fraudulent. I don't know if these people were intentionally trying to pull a fast one. It could have just been a mistake. So I've had a couple of them. One of them, I got a picture with a refund request, and the packaging was clearly not my packaging. There was a lot of different color paper in there that I don't have and I don't use. So that was the picture, and they were requesting a refund saying the item was broke. I immediately replied, instead of escalating or deny or doing anything, I replied and said, that doesn't look like my packaging. Can you please send me a picture of the broken item? Never heard from them again. It just went away. So if they're trying to pull a fast one, by you asking legitimate questions in a kind and professional manner, usually can solve it. AI is getting like really, really good. I've heard that some sellers are having problems where their AI, like pictures of broken items from AI. You could always ask, can you hold it? Can you turn it a different way? So you have the right to ask for more information as a seller. If you're being kind about it, you're not arguing with them. But if you're to reply, USPS must have broke that. Again, let's go back to what we need to do. They want to be heard, and they want to feel like they're being taken care of in some way, right? What did I say? Feel heard and that they're treated fairly. So if we approach it, every single customer service with, let me hear what they have to say and let me treat them fairly, even if we think it's not our mistake. I had a refund request from somebody one time. It was a creamer. They said it was broken, but the picture I got clearly still had the water on there where they washed it. I'm thinking in my head, if you got that broken, why would you wash it? One, it was clean when I sent it, but most people wash their stuff. But I'm like, if you got it broken, why would you wash it? You know what I thought? It made me think, did you drop it in the sink when you were washing it and now you're just going to say that it was broken? I don't know, right? I have no idea. But would it serve me any good for me or my business to say, well, why did you wash it? Why is there water on there? Are you sure it was broken? Nope. It was a $5 creamer. You know what served me the best for my business? I'm so sorry, that must be so disappointing to you. Please go ahead and put in for a refund and I will authorize it immediately. Why argue? And if you really feel that they are being misleading or deceitful, then you say, I'm happy to refund that to you. Once I receive it back in the condition that I sent it to you, I will go ahead and issue that refund. Or, I mean, if it's broken, it may not be the condition. But you see what I'm saying? If you think that they're being deceitful, ask for the item back. 9 times out of 10, if they're being deceitful, they're not going to send the item back. They're going to be like, oh man, that sucks. That didn't work. Right? And a $5 creamer, but it was, even if it was a $50 creamer, if it was a $50 creamer and I thought that they were being deceitful, I would say, can you please send that back to me and I'd be happy to issue you a refund. Why argue it? Here's my thing. Why argue it? One, as a seller, I have zero power to deny that. I have to escalate it to Whatnot. If the more kind I am, I'm salvaging relationships. I would rather salvage that relationship because you don't know if that person is honest to God telling the truth and they're going to be your next best customer. Are you going to fight for $4 or just, yeah, hey, thank you, my love, just consider it, move on. I do not block them. I have only ever blocked one person who has asked for a refund. I have never, ever blocked anybody else who's asked for a refund. Why? Again, if we handle it right, and we go back to the service recovery paradox, a customer who receives something broken, oh, only if you suspect fraud. Even then, I'll tell you my one story on why I did, but even then I might not. If we handle it right, we have a good odds of strengthening that relationship versus losing somebody for good. The one that I did block, and I'll be completely honest, and this was a very, very hard one for me. This morning in the show, we were talking about setting boundaries around your business. This was one where I hadn't really set my boundaries. This was a first time kind of experience for me, and I was trying to figure out how I should handle it. Had a customer. She was newer on Whatnot. The first order, there was some little minor, something maybe I didn't disclose, like a little chip or something. I'm so sorry, here's your money back. Then the next order was one of my rewards cards. I lost your card. I can't find the coupon code, and I really want to use a coupon. Can you send me another one? You know what? Cool. No problem. You can't use a coupon unless you spend money. Here's another coupon code for you. The next order, it was something else. It was just another, I think it was a bell, and on the inside of the clapper thing on the bell, she's like, there's a tiny little chip on the clapper of the bell. And I'm kind of at this point, I'm like, as much as I love customer service, you are buying vintage items as is. Like, you kind of have to take some responsibility. I kind of felt that was the third time, was a little clapper thing. I'm like, you know what? I'll give you a partial refund. And at this point, I'm like, okay, Tracy, smarten up. That we're not going to keep doing this. We're not going to keep playing this game, right? And it got to the point where the next time I saw them bidding on one of my items, I felt it in my chest and my stomach, and I got tense, and I'm like, oh God. And I am literally in the middle of running an auction, and I see them bid, and the thought that's going through my mind was, please don't let them win. Please don't let them win. Please don't let them win, because I was already anticipating the problem. It was in that moment that I knew I had to do something. Until then, I was like, I'm trying to be nice, trying to provide customer service, but you know when you've reached your limit, right? It was sad because you don't want to feel that way, right? Lo and behold, they won. It was some ephemera plus some other stuff. Sent it to them. The ephemera I usually will put in some type of an envelope in a box. Sure enough, I get a message when the ephemera wasn't there. It was missing. I'm like, no, for sure. Because of the issues, I vividly remember packing this. It was in an envelope. It was in this part of the box. I can tell you exactly. Well, my husband already threw everything away. I don't have it. I'm so sorry about that. There's nothing I can do. Go to Whatnot, get a refund. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to give you your money back. I'm going to block you, and I'm going to be done playing this game with this one. You know what happened when I said go to Whatnot? I don't know, maybe 24 hours later, I got a message back that said, Whatnot says I have too many claims and that I can't put in another claim. You know what that told me? I'm not the only one this person was doing this to. That this was a reoccurrent thing. And at that point, I felt no shame in blocking. I said, block, we're just going to part our ways. Sometimes not all customers are a good fit for you. But it was karma, yeah. But that was a very hard decision. And that goes straight into what I was talking about setting your boundaries and thinking through some of these things ahead of time. I should have put my foot down a lot earlier, but I was providing the best customer service I can provide, I thought. So it's not always easy. As we talk about, oh, this is clear cut, this is just say do this or do that. Sometimes it's hard. Emotionally, we are like, we want to be good people, right? And we don't want to be too harsh. And you're in this, kind of mix of going back and forth. For those of you just coming in, we are doing CEO affirmation cards. If you do not know, that is our standard giveaway. So that is what's running right now. You do have to protect your nerves. The minute you start feeling like, oh crap, look at that person's in my room again, I've never felt that way about anybody being in my room. So it was like, you got to do something to protect yourself. So what else are we talking about here? Let me keep going on. I had a few more other points. Systems. Let's talk about systems. Scuba Stevie-O, hello.
I have something to say. Let's go on our way.
Okay, just really quick on the side. Have you seen that blonde guy? What's he got, Haaland or something? Oh my God. This guy is like a Viking, like an amazing Viking, like specimen of a man there. Just saying. Look, I have a Mexican husband. I love my Mexican husband. This guy's amazing. He has been like all over. I watched like 2 videos. They're going to just say, look, all I'm saying is I watched like 2 videos of this guy, and now my whole Facebook feed is nothing but this guy. Sorry, honey.
So for those of you who don't know, Scuba is from England. And this past Sunday, England played against Mexico on the FIFA World Cup. So we were watching the game and we were bantering with each other. So England won, and now they're move on and they're going to face Norway. So that's why I'm giving him a hard time.
Oh, that's what's happening tonight. Okay. See, I don't follow the whole sports.
I like Scuba way too much. I will cheer for England.
Mama, his name, I don't know his first name. The last name is Haaland. Some tall Norwegian guy. I mean, he has a girlfriend and kids and all that, but he's amazing to watch. And he's goofy as all get out. So he's funny. Just check it out. Just like Google tall Norwegian soccer player. And it'll come up. So anyways, let's talk about systems. Every time we have a repeat problem, every problem that we have, whether it's something broken, we didn't pack it right, no matter what it is, it's teaching us something. Don't waste those lessons. All of those are lessons that, I'm sorry, somebody's talking about our PA meetup. I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. So don't waste the lessons. Everything that goes wrong teaches us something. And this is what I was saying about looking at your patterns. Spend a couple of minutes, go into your account health, go back and look at any of the refund requests or anything that's been brought up in your account health, and look and see if there's any patterns. Do you have a lot of people saying there's items that are broken? Maybe that's you need to change something in your shipping. Or maybe if they say not as described, I need to describe things differently, I need to add more photos, whatever it may be. What if people are in your chat and they're constantly asking about, I don't understand how your shipping works. Tell me about shipping. What does this mean? Maybe you're just not communicating good enough. If you're seeing the same thing over and over and over again, that may tell you that you need to change a system on your side. I have a perfect example of this, of something that just happened to me. So here I am talking about problems. I'm just putting anything bad that's ever happened to me, I'm just laying it all out there on the table. But recently, and I'm talking like in the last week, I had a show. There was a salt and pepper shaker and like a little stand. So it was like a 3-piece set. The way we do our shipping, I'm selling. When I sell an item, it goes over here on a bookcase. My daughter, the shipper, grabs the item, does all the bubble wrap, wraps it up nice and tight, puts the label on the outside, and then she puts it in cubbies by the customer's name. So she'll put a little sticker on there. So then I come behind her. I open up the shipping screen and I say, okay, I'm going to ship Bob's order. I go and find Bob's cubby. I pull everything out. I look on the screen. I double check. Okay, he had 4 items. Here's 4 items. Pack it in the box. Print the label. Do the weight, all that good stuff, and it goes out the door. That's the system we were doing. Well, a lot of times, particularly with things that have lids or more than one piece, she doesn't wrap it together. So if it's, in this case, there was the salt and pepper was wrapped and then the base was wrapped. So there was 2 different pieces. We didn't have a system in place to check the number of pieces. I just saw, this customer ordered 3 things. We have 3 things, put them in the box. So I'm assuming, I do not know where the salt and pepper shaker went. Somebody has them somewhere because they're not in my house and my customer didn't get them. So somebody has them. Anyways, what did that teach me? I could have got pissed at her. I could have been like, I'm so sorry. She was giving it a few days to see if they turn up. But I could be mad. I could have been like, no, I put them in there. No, you know what that taught me? I better fix my system. Southern Charm, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Thank you for being here.
Great.
Congratulations.
Hey, Renchen Finds is here.
Renchen Finds has been here. Where have you been? So, anyways, normally before my daughter started, I was doing all the shipping. I would gather everything for one order. I was in control of that one box at a time. And those weren't problems that I was having. And this is the first time it's happened, but it teaches us something. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, well, we need a system to make sure, one, that we're accounting for all the different pieces if you're wrapping things separately. And then I need a better way to check it off and physically make sure that these items are here, because I don't want that to happen again. So we've changed our system. So now she still does the packing. She puts it in the little cubbies based by the customer's name. But if there's more than one item on the label, she'll put the number of pieces. So let's just say it's a glass piece with the lid. She'll wrap the glass piece. On that label, she'll put a number 2. And then on the lid, she'll write a separate label, put, whatever the item is, and put number 2. So I know there's 2 pieces, right? So that's the first part of the system we changed. The second part is I will now physically print like the full page, 8.5 by 11 packing lists, and I work from those. So I take a packing list, I see it goes to Southern Char, I go and pull all of Southern Charms, and I physically look at every item and I check it off the packing list. And if there's an item that says it has 2 pieces, then on that packing list I'm putting times 2, and I'm making sure I have 2 pieces. Then it goes in the box. I never would have done that system had the problem not occurred. So do I want the problems to occur? No. But every single problem you have is a chance to improve or do something better. Every single problem is a lesson that you can then figure out a way to do it better. Even if it's solely you and you're a one-person show, you can have checks and balances. You can wrap something and then print a packing list or look on the screen and double check it. You can build in those checks and balances even if you're a one-person show. I take all of my customers' items and put them in their own separate boxes. And then you wrap each customer item and put it in a box label, and it's done. So you have a way of segregating it all, double checking one at a time. And this is what I mean. Sometimes we think our systems are okay until something happens. But if we're not paying attention to those somethings, if we're not going back and looking at our customer service history, particularly for those of us who are not handling it on our own, we don't know what the common problems are that we need to fix. So, yes, my love.
I need to make an announcement for Liz. I'm working on what I owe you. So as soon as I have it ready, I'll send it to you.
Yes, Living Bliss. This is show number 2. We do business in the morning and tax at night, even though we're not doing a lot of tax right now. We're talking about how to fix problems that we have on Whatnot.
Hey, Sean.
So, right now, because I'm doing it on my own, I don't have the same issue as if somebody else was packing for me. Absolutely. And as you grow, these are things to keep in mind. We don't always grow like all of a sudden I'm going to hire 5 people. Usually it doesn't happen that way, right? Our kids get a little bit older. Maybe they start helping out. Maybe, your sister comes over, something like that. It starts small. But then the way we normally work on our own, how many of you on your own have written out procedures? I don't have written out procedures. I think they're awesome. I've never written them out because I've worked on my own. They're all in my head. Even though I say it's a good thing to do. So as you start to grow and you get other people in there, they don't know your your procedures you keep in your head. And that's where things start like falling apart, or you may have these little issues that are like, oh, wow, I never thought that she was separating these orders and I needed to double check it that way. So you only hope you get to the point. It has taken me a long time and I am still on the verge. I got to the point where I knew I was maxed out. It was, I needed to source more, and if I was going to source more, it meant more shipping. I knew that the first thing I needed was shipping help. But I also work in my home, and I'm really picky about people coming into my house. So it had to be somebody who I already felt comfortable with, and that turned into my 15-year-old daughter. Right now it works great because she has summer break. It's not going to work so great when she goes to school. When it's just me, if it's just me, I really don't have written out procedures. But as you start to think about like growing, we've had to institute. We had another instant where we just created another system today between me and Noel. He handles all the digital stuff. So if we sell a PDF or anything like that, normally in the show, he's on top of it and he's doing it. We had a show the other day. He was distracted working on some other stuff, so he didn't see that sale. Well, when I went to ship, I pack a packing list, put the sticker or whatever in there. I'm thinking he's already sent the PDF because he does that all the time. And then today, and this was like 2 days ago, so it's not like we were out of like the time frame. But then today I'm like, hey, you did send that, right? And he's like, no, I didn't even know. What are you talking about? All right, we need a better procedure. We need to make sure that we're not dropping stuff between us. So it can happen when it's your husband and wife too, and it's not intentionally. But it's those things. It's those, stuff that falls through the crack that teaches you, we need to fix this. So now I give him those packing lists that I'm printing, and I'm like, and then I put a note next to my shipping station, and I'm like, okay, you do this, give it back to me when you're done with your part, and then I know it's okay to ship. So just as you go through normal processes, you start to see where you can fix things. All right, let's keep going on. We talked a little bit about keeping your accounting records. Hey, Brittany. We already talked about how professional handling builds that trust, so that if you missed it, there is a whole concept that's called the service recovery paradox. So and what this dives into is, and I've said it, if you're hearing this for the third time, I apologize, but I know there's some new people in the room, so I'll say it again. But there is a service recovery paradox. This means that when a customer has an issue, something broke, wasn't as described, whatever it is, there is some sort of customer service issue. If you handle it in a trustworthy way, if you fix that mistake, you can actually strengthen that relationship and have a stronger relationship where they come back to you more so than if the mistake never happened. So while it sounds a little weird and kind of backwards, sometimes when a mistake happens, the way you handle it actually makes your relationship with your customer stronger and better than if nothing ever happened. So think about that. Think about when these things happen. Because if you're in this world, there's going to be some sort of customer service issue somewhere, some way, somehow. No matter, it could be anything, but you're going to have to face customer service issues. We talked about two things that all customers want. When something goes wrong, they want to feel heard, and they want to feel that they were treated fairly. Because I saw Liz's name in here earlier, I want to point out something that she said. And this is one thing that it kind of just clicked with me. I've always felt, hey, you got to have good customer service. But one time I was listening to Liz. Yeah, it's building trust, and nothing beats trust. 100%, mamas. That's the core of it right there. But one time I was listening to Liz, and she was talking about how do you handle like refunds and issues and stuff like that. And she said, imagine the customer. Imagine yourself as that buyer. You looked forward to it. You were expecting it. Imagine the disappointment they felt with this item. Now, maybe it was something small and inexpensive, but they still would feel disappointment. Acknowledging that disappointment. And while I've always believed in customer service, I never thought about it in that way. I never thought to put myself in the shoes of how disappointed the customer would be, and that me as a seller should acknowledge it. I've always thought of saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I can give you a refund. But they just don't want to hear I'm so sorry. They want to feel heard, right? So acknowledging their disappointment, I'm so sorry, I know you were expecting it to come to you not broken. It makes a huge difference. And I never realized it until I heard her say it. And this was recent. This was like 2 months ago. So this was like just kind of one of those things. And this is what I love about Whatnot and listening to talk shows, is that you may not agree with everything everybody says. You may not agree at all with the way they sell. But there's always these little gems of knowledge. And by the way, I agree with a lot of what Liz Like says. But there's always gems of knowledge that you can pull and learn from. So, you are here. So that was a big thing. That it was like this aha moment. Just every now and then somebody will say something, you're like, oh wow, that really makes sense, right? So we were talking about the trust, as Mama pointed out. Trust isn't built when everything goes perfectly. Little nuggets of wisdom. There's always, thank you. There's always little nuggets. But think about this. Trust is built but trust is really built when the things go bad, right? When your true character comes out in how you're handling it. And live selling, we talked about this morning, it happens in public. We have more eyes on us. So we have to even be more so conscious of how we're doing this. Because it's not just the eyes on us in the room if we're handling something live. It's the eyes on all those reviews. It's the word of mouth. You may deny something. Thank you so much, Mama. I try to earn trust. You may treat somebody poorly or, be like, no, that's not my fault. That was USPS or that was your fault. How many people are they going to tell? There's a lot of close-knit friendships on here. They can go into one room with 100 people in the room and put a comment in the chat. How many people are going to see it? We are operating with a ton of eyes on us at all times when we are online. That's a far different scenario than what we're used to in a brick and mortar store. So it's like we have to take our customer service up like 50 levels and be even that much better at it, because everybody's watching how you're doing it. Everybody is. Nothing online, exactly. Nothing happens in a vacuum. And if it's not going to be here, it's going to be on Facebook or Reddit or Discord or somewhere. Does it hold a lot of weight? Maybe not. But you never know who's going to see it. You just don't. It's like us telling our teenagers, watch what you text, watch what you put online. Same thing for us here as a business. You have to remember, we're all people, not just a screen. 100%. Totally agree with that. And this is the thing, it's so easy. When I get a refund request, if I get something that's broke or whatever, instantly it feels like a punch to the stomach, right? Because if you're an honest seller trying to do the right thing, you're disappointed in yourself instantly. You're just like, oh, what did I do? How did that happen? But then the next emotion almost immediately is, it wasn't my fault. I packed it right. I did good. Even if we don't like to admit it, most of it, that second emotion is a defense mechanism for ourselves, right? Because we're defending. We feel that defeated, that punch in the gut, and now we've got our defenses up because now, we got hurt, and now we got to, protect ourselves from that hurt. That's why I say sleep on it. Take a breath. You do not have to answer that customer service the minute you see it. You have to answer it within a reasonable time frame. But if it's a big thing and you need to sleep on it for a night to regain control of your thoughts and emotions, take the time to do so. Maybe it's not as big and you can just sit out for an hour and come back and be like, all right, my head's clear. I can answer you in a nice way. Because everybody is watching for that. Okay, I'm curious to hear from you guys because I've been talking a whole lot. What is the most challenging problem transaction you have ever had to deal with? What has been one of the hardest customer service things for you as a reseller? Curious to hear. In a few short words. That's a loaded question for a few short words, right? Mine is probably all of them together and learning not to take it personally, but looking at them as lessons on how to be better. Because I think that's hard to do. I think looking at them as lessons is very difficult to do. Somebody's going to get that giveaway. Rustic Raven, it is your turn. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So no answers. You guys are like, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to talk about the hardest challenging problem I've ever had. That's okay. We don't have to talk about the hardest. How about this? I think the challenge I've seen the most is... On eBay, I had 2 reviews that blasted me and were so mean, but I just responded and go. You were just nice about it, took a deep breath, sucked it up, and moved on. Consider this too. Most times, there are some people you get to know. Some people have become your friends. You have sent, tons of shipments to them. They've sent stuff to you. But consider... The other was a wholesale soap buyers before I learned how to write contracts. Oh, that would be hard. Yeah, that would get kind of messy, wouldn't it? I haven't had any hard reseller problems, but someone threatened to blow. What? Oh my goodness, that's a little scary. I would consider that a problem. I would consider that, personal threats to be a problem. Everything's a learning experience. It is. Everything's a learning experience. I lost my train of thought. Oh. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something, totally lost it, but that's okay. Josie, I think the challenge I've seen most is you never finished. You got me hanging on the edge of my seat. You're typing. I know you're typing. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to know what it was. Keep typing. I'm waiting. I'm watching.
So impatient. Oh my goodness.
They are learning. But if I go back to what Liz said, they are learning experiences. Oh, I think that's what I was saying, is that that's been the hardest thing for me, is to be accepting of it and not take it personally. I think so. I'm learning something basically every show, either about myself or what I can do better. Oh, 100% Ranch and Finds. I don't think there's a truer statement for every live seller on here. Every single show. Like, we never stop growing and learning. Even OGs that have been on here 3 or 4 years, I hear them say things that they're still learning about. I've learned how not to react as a seller from a bad experience with one seller that handled my issue terribly. So you took a bad experience and said, okay, I'm not going to be. You used a bad example of what you didn't want to be, which is a wonderful way to learn from people. We do need 2 text boxes, Josie. Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Josie, with her, I need 8 hands.
He does. He needs to do a lot more. But think about all the shipments you've sent out on whatnot. If you're a seller, think about everything you send out. How many of these people do you really know? You get a lot of first-time buyers. Maybe you've sent stuff to 1 or 2 people. So the majority aren't people that you're like texting and really have this relationship with, right? We have a little bit of this back and forth here within shows. So they don't know you. When they get something broken and maybe they strike out, they're upset, they're disappointed, and they send you a DM or they just put a claim into whatnot, it's not personal. They're mad at the situation. They don't know you enough to be mad at you. They're mad that they got something broken. So I go back to the very beginning. They want to feel heard. They want you to do something about their problem. And it's really hard for us not to take that personally, not to take it as an attack on our shipping skills or our selling skills or how we describe the item when we know we're doing the best we can. It's very hard not to take it personally. As I said before, I got a bad review. I asked why not give me a chance to make it right, and I was told do better. And I said, what do you mean, crickets? Yeah. Some people are just going to be mean, grumpy people. And there's nothing we can do about that in this world. Some people are just that way. I always think it's so funny, the reviews where you get a 4, because if you do anything less than a 5, then you get the drop down and you got to grade like each item, but then all the rest of the items are 5s. I always look at those and kind of turn my head and like, okay, not too sure what I did, but okay. All we can do, look, all you can do is you can ask. You can reach out and say, I'm so sorry that your experience wasn't what you were expecting. How can I make this better for you? How did you receive the item? All you can do is try. If they're not willing to give that information to you, there's nothing more you can do. You just kind of suck it up and move on. And I hate to say it that way, but there comes a point where there's only so much trying that you can do. Oh, the entitlement absolutely comes out in the reviews. That's the other thing. When we're answering these reviews, and I'm very torn, and I would love to hear what you guys think on this. I don't answer every single review. I'm going to be honest. It's time consuming. I appreciate them. I read them. They make me smile. I get happy about, obviously all the good reviews. I don't have time to answer every single one of them. But if it's a bad review, I feel compelled to answer it in a professional way to protect my reputation. But at the same time, I feel very torn that if I can't answer the good ones, I shouldn't answer the bad ones either. What's your thoughts on this? So Josie says, is that most communication is limited, like we don't really get to see our buyers? 100%. I've got to go back and read your first part of this so I can read it all together. Hold on, I'm finding it. I think the challenge you've seen the most is that the communication is limited. We don't really get to see our buyers. It is very challenging. Very challenging. We don't have that face-to-face interaction. We can't read body language. We can't de-escalate situations by using all of our senses. We're just reading some words on a page, and we all know how that is. Words on a page can be totally, there's no emotion, you don't know the emotion, there's nothing to go with it, can be interpreted in many, many different ways. And a lot of times it's interpreted in a way that it wasn't meant. I don't answer them, but I would if I thought it was unfair and needed more information added. Does anybody else answer your bad reviews if you've ever got one? Or struggle with, like, if I can't do the good ones, I don't want to answer the bad ones neither? This is what goes through. These are the things that keep me up at night. I wonder, should I answer? Should I not answer? And it's not like I get a lot of bad reviews. I've gotten a couple. I think that your answers to reviews are important to future buyers, especially for bad reviews. And I kind of tend to think the same way. I do read those. If it's a new buyer, or if they have like a 4.8, I will go look at reviews so I can try to get a sense of why is it a 4.8. Was it they were brand new and they kind of screwed up and now they fixed it? Is there a certain issue? Like, what's going on before I will make a decision to buy from them? I feel like it makes a bad review stick out. SS Vintage, I agree. So that's kind of this dilemma that's in my head. You've only ever answered one review. I think I've answered like 3 or 4. It's not like I get a lot of bad ones, but you even think 3 or 4? I don't know. He's giving me the look. I don't know if the look is like, you're out of your mind, or yeah, that's right look. I have no idea what look that is. So, and not that I have an answer to that. I have no words of wisdom on that. It's just one of those things that goes through my head. I say ignore the bad reviews and they disappear quickly. Just let it be. Just let the good reviews speak for themselves and the good reviews outweigh the bad, and just let it be. I feel like messaging privately works better. I've tried that. I've never got a response. I think I tried that twice to somebody who's left a bad review where I'm like, hey, I saw your review. Can you please tell me how you could think this could go better so that I can improve my systems or something like that? And I never got response. But I used to answer all. Not the bad one. You used to answer all the reviews at the very, very beginning, and then life happened. But a 4.8 could just mean too bad. Exactly. I don't think a 4.8 is always bad, but if it's a 4.8, I will go and look as to why. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt to read, well, what's going on here? And the person left there who doesn't even know you responded. Do they not, Sassy? They get zero notification. That's interesting. So unless they specifically ever go back, it's like you're just talking to the wind. You're just talking to whoever happens to ever read that, not like specifically to them. That's interesting. I did not realize that. And you'll do that. I know, Rustic, I do not always look at reviews before I buy from anybody. So if I go the way I judge, if I go into somebody's room who I've never experienced before, it's a brand new seller to me, I'll observe in the room a little bit, pick up the vibe, hear what they're saying. I will look if they have items in their bin. Are they following terms of service? If they have buy my dog a bone or the back call for an unridiculous amount of money, immediately tells me that you don't follow terms of service, which puts doubts in my head about, can I trust you to ship? Can I trust your word? Because you're doing other things that are untrustworthy. So I look at that. If it's a 5-star, no, that's enough information for me. If it's like a 4.8 or less, I probably will look at their reviews, because at that point I'm like, well, why? But I don't instantly just write them off, because like I said at the beginning, when I first started on Whatnot, I had my first couple of shipments were broken items because I didn't know how to pack. So I got a couple bad reviews right off the bat, and then I learned and I fixed it, and then I got good reviews. So I give people the benefit of the doubt that maybe you didn't know what was going, maybe you had a bad day, maybe it was like some weird thing, but I want to see, I want to judge it. But I don't do that for everybody. It's kind of subjective. So that is why I always question when a seller responds to buyer's reviews. They don't see it unless they decide to go back and view. So you're kind of helping me go to the sense of why answer them at all. I'm glad I asked you guys the question. I love hearing the information that you're giving. Now the customer service rating for me comes into play. It does too, which is really weird. So Sassy, I did not know this until I heard you talk about this one. So this may be news to some of you in the room too, that on the customer service ratings, you do not get a rating. Like if you look at mine says, I think, excellent customer service. You don't get a rating unless you've had a certain number of customer service requests. So people without a rating doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they haven't had customer service requests, which means that they should be excellent. So, okay, because I've been on Whatnot for almost 2 years now, but I've only been selling since January of this year. And I had, which I might feel, I don't know, a 4.8. Again, the longer you sell and the more items you sell, it's going to wipe that out and it'll go up to the 4.9 to the 5. 4.8 to me means something happened at some time. Doesn't mean an instant no. And I don't think it means an instant no to a lot of people. You have your, yeah.
I did send a review, but instead of a reply to the review, what I got was a DM from the seller saying thank you.
I'm curious too. If everybody look at Liz's question, I want to know, have any of you left a review and gone back hoping a seller replied? I didn't ask that, but I'm curious if anybody ever has gone back. I haven't. I've never gone back. I've never went and looked if they replied to my review. There you go. You guys are answering my question right here. You're making up my mind that there's no sense in even replying to bad reviews. You were blocked. Oh no. I've never, look at nobody. Not, oh well, one person but they found out they were blocked. That's interesting. And if I see 300 sold and you have a customer service rating, yeah, because that means at least 10 out of 300. That's a little concerning. It means you've had enough problems in a very short time span that something may not be going right. Exactly. Response to bad reviews are for future buyers, not the buyer that had the problem. They are, but I guess I'm wondering, is it easy? Is it not easier? Is it a better move just to keep your mouth shut and let your good reviews speak for themselves and those outweigh a couple of bad ones? I buy too much and leave too many reviews. Okay, carry up. No, it is. I often say silence is acceptance, and this is probably why I have answered. Silence is acceptance. And if you're going to say, for instance, I have a review. You could probably find it if you go back and look. I don't think I've looked at my reviews for like 3 days. But this was like, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And it basically said, it was broken. That was the whole review. It was broken. It was like a 3-star. It was broken. It was broken during USPS shipping. Just the words, it was broken, imply to me, if I read that, I would read that as she sent me a broken item. That's not what happened, and I did reply to it, but now I'm like, yeah, I should have just left it. I've only left one bad review is because I had a problem with a huge seller, tried resolving it with them, and they blocked me, so I left a review. Now, this brings up a whole nother thing, and we've talked about this, and I've kind of changed my stance on it. And I've changed my stance basically because of what Liz Lake says. And here I just kind of point this out. You can think one way, and if you are open-minded enough to hear other people's point of views and consider them, you can grow and learn and actually change how you're thinking in some cases. It does happen. I used to think that you should give the reviews that you feel the seller deserved. Be honest in your review. I was very hardcore, be honest in your reviews. But Liz pointed out that honesty is probably better spent in a DM to them personally than it is in the review. That if you can't say something nice, it's kind of like what your mom used to tell you. If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Which tends to leave, if I can't give you a 5-star, that means I should communicate with you on a personal level to discuss why I can't give you a 5-star review. And I hope I said that in the right way, Liz. You can correct me if I have not communicated that properly. That's what I took from something you were saying at one point. And that stuck with me when I start thinking about reviews. I answer bad reviews on eBay only to tell others how the situation was rectified to the buyer's satisfaction. So you're saying that so you answer bad reviews to show them that you are giving them the good customer service. I was being so nice and just nope, they didn't want that, and it was before I was ever a seller. Oh, I wish people would do that. Did I do good explaining it? Okay. And why it clicked with me is because it's true. We, as humans, a lot of us don't like conflict. A lot of us don't want to be truthful. We were talking about the other day in the show, I think it was my Wednesday show, we were talking about community. Healthy communities can have respectful disagreements with each other. You don't have to agree with everybody, but as long as you're respectful with those disagreements, that's what makes a healthy community. And the block culture, like, kind of disregards that. And I think that's where it comes in to the reviews, and that's why it clicked with me, is I don't have to leave you a bad review. I can leave you a review, or I can not leave you a review, and then I can message you like one grown-up to another grown-up and say, hey, I didn't leave you a review, but I was unhappy about this. Because let's go back to it, as a seller, this is my learning opportunity. That's a lesson that I'm learning. Swift
Welcome,
Custom
Raiders.
Creations.
Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
Not Swift. Southwest Florida. Look at, I read that too quick. Thank you for bringing your friends over. My name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are talking about customer service, customer reviews, and being good customer service people. Please put in the chat who you are, what you sell, when you sell it, all those details, so anybody who likes what they read can follow you. SS Vintage says, I got a 3-star once. I shipped the item the same day. Took 10 days to get to them. They said they love the item, but improve your shipping. So, yeah. This is something else. Let's talk about something else that I'm struggling with, and maybe you guys are too in customer service, because this kind of, I think you cut to the heart of it there, SS. Too many sellers take a buyer's bad experience personally. Acknowledge your feelings, hear their pain, and then be professional. I love it. Liz just summed up all of my 6 pages of notes in like 3 sentences right there. There you go. We are not the post office. So here's something that I'm struggling with right now with customer service. Is I'm pretty much like, you're going to get a refund. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. I want you to have a great experience. It serves me no purpose to argue with you. You have a bad experience. If you want to cancel your order, do I like it? No. Do I want to tell you no cancellations? 100%. But honestly, if you don't want that, I would rather not go through the time and effort to pack it and ship it to you, only to have it returned to me and try to resell 3 weeks later. I don't want to go through that. I'd rather just default to, I'm going to find, if you want to cancel it, go ahead and put the cancellation in, I'll accept it. That's what works for me. It's easier. And then when we get to the refund side, I am very much, okay, I'll give you a partial refund. Like we were talking about before. If I think you're being not on the up and up with me, I'll ask for the item back so I can try to resell it, or I can view it with my own eyes. But I'm pretty much like, here's your refund. Hope you're happy. Let's salvage this relationship and move forward. But I have felt that there is an uptick of buyers that knowingly buy vintage items. Like, there's this fine line for vintage people, or estate sales, storage units, any of those of us, even clothing, that sell anything that has been loved before. There's this fine line of, this is an auction site. When you come to this auction site, you are buying as is. That's just the basis of an auction. I don't want to rest my customer service on an as-is policy. I don't like that. But at the same time, I feel that as much responsibility that is on me to disclose every flaw that I am aware of, it is also on the buyer to accept the responsibility that the seller is human and there may be something wrong with that pre-loved item that we just didn't know about. And as a seller, I don't always want to have to pay for and fund the fact that you just can't accept that maybe there was a tiny little crack or a tiny chip that the seller didn't see. And this has really been like on my mind lately, of exactly where do you draw that line? And I wish I had some nice, easy answer for this. I always feel that I'm more for the customer service side, but I feel that there has been this uptick of as the app grows, this lack of responsibility on the buyer side that these items are pre-loved. And if you see me during a live auction and I'm describing this call out and I'm showing you this, and the other thing, and I'm doing the best I can, that sometimes you just got to accept that sometimes things aren't, this isn't Amazon, they're not brand new. Does anybody else ever feel this way? If you want new, buy new. If you want vintage, remember it's vintage. That's it. And I have just seen this, well, there's this thing wrong with it, or there's this tiny little mark on it, or there's this, and it's like, I didn't see that, or I tried to disclose. You know, we're human. Sometimes we miss things. You'll see me run my fingers around rims and like, okay, I'm not feeling anything, or I feel this, I can't see it. So I don't know. I feel that I, as a buyer, give a lot of grace, and that I think I expect that from other people, and it's not always there. And I'm not getting on any buyers in particular. I'm just saying in general, I feel that there's been an uptick of people coming to the app and not understanding that the way auctions work. Even when I have a very lenient refund policy, I am very, very lenient about authorizing refunds. I consider customer service a good time to educate buyers. After I acknowledge their feelings, I don't always give refunds for that reason. So you do, so Liz, so you have a line that you're just kind of like, hey, I'm so sorry that, you know, you acknowledge your feelings, you acknowledge your disappointment, and then you're like, this is how it works. These are how auctions are. Thank you so much type of thing. That's like Pyrex. You can find a beautiful pieces that were made to be used, not sitting on a shelf like people do now. Exactly, yeah. I'm okay with that, but the seller is our eyes. They should call out everything and show the items well. Correct. Totally. Dreamful Designs. I agree with you 100%. I have a responsibility as a seller to disclose everything that I am aware of, and I need to spend a little time making myself aware of those things. I shouldn't just pull something out of the box, here you go, it's sold. I shouldn't do that. I should put some effort into this. At the same time, the buyer has some responsibility. Yep, especially if I photographed or showed the damage, 100%. If they buy without paying attention, that is something they need to learn to do. I agree. And I've sold something, disclosed the flaw, clearly pointed it out on camera, talked about it, and then had a buyer say, oh, I didn't realize it was that bad. I'm like, I don't know how much more I could have told you. And I've still given them their money back. But in that case, I look back now and I'm like, dang you, Tracy, you should have stood firmer in that. So, all right. I think, yes, oh, I'm like, we're about to rate. And he's like, nope, I just put a giveaway. So we're going to talk for 4 more minutes. When I source, I check every piece, but when my daughter looks, she has been known to see things. Absolutely. I used to put, now this is a system that, and we talked about how systems prevent some of this stuff or help to deal with it. I used to, when I would check over everything, put a little piece of painter's tape on any call outs I found. So then when I was showing it, if I'm showing 60 things, I'll see that painter's tape and I'm like, oh yeah, remember there's that call out. It was like a trigger for me to remember to talk about the call out. I may go back to that system. I kind of got lazy and kind of moved off of that system, but it was a really good system. That is something I may go back to. I do find that I can look at something, like I'll go to an antique store, pick something up, think it's totally good, I'm looking at it, and then I get it home, and my husband looks at it, he's like, did you see the crack? I'm like, nope, not at all, I didn't see it at all. So when I receive my items and they are not what I expected, I always go back to the video to watch it. And it was usually all disclosed. A lot of times we just don't remember. We get caught up in the way something looks and we don't remember. So I love that you do that. I do that. Oh, so you do that with clothespins on your show. So you mark your any call outs in a certain way to jog your memory too. Video receipts are good. We also record all of our shows. And quite frequently, almost every single time I get a request of some sort, some type of customer request, I go back and look at the video and I'm like, did I not say something? How did it look when I sold it? I usually go and verify my information again. And I think that's a good learning point. And the only reason I like my video better than the receipts is that I can see all the words on the bottom of the screen. It's just, I feel it's a little more complete and I can stop it and freeze it and watch it easier. But I don't answer even, I just don't shop at that seller. Exactly. I think it's happened to all of us though, where we miss something. We're human. And like, I don't think we do. I don't think a lot of people are intentional about missing it. Now, I do wonder, I have watched, now I am always fascinated, and I'm not picking on any seller, so don't think I'm talking about any one seller in particular, because I'm not. I've seen many sellers do this. I am always fascinated on the sellers who can move so fast through items, especially like vintage or estate or the pre-loved physical items that move so fast through them. And I'm like, without really disclosing, it's like they'll pick it up and they'll go, all right, check this out. This is blah, 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 run. I've always been fascinated. I'm like, how much time did you spend? Like, what's your process? Like, my auditor brain is thinking, did you separate everything out ahead of time? And if there's any call out, you just don't show it so that these are perfect? Because there's some sellers I never hear a call out. So I'm like, either you just have like premium inventory or you're just not saying it. Like, I don't know what it is. You have to build up a good reputation. Maybe that's it. Maybe there are call outs every now and then. I'm sure there's not on every product, but maybe every now and then there might be a call out and it's just accepted because of their reputation, maybe. That makes sense. It's just one of those ones that I've always, when I see sellers do that, surprise me. And I've always wondered what their back end process is. Plus, when you sell that much, the few returns don't affect your number. True, because the ones I see are usually more volume based. They're usually not I'm selling 20 items a week. They're usually a lot higher numbers. So, I don't know. That's probably with vintage, and I can imagine clothing. This is one of the reasons I will probably never do clothing. It really scares me. Holes, stains, loose threads scare me to death in clothing that I would absolutely miss those things. So, Liz, little off topic, but Noelle told me I was busy on work calls today that you did your first live selling show today. Is that true? Was this your first one? Josie, you got that giveaway from your lucky day, girl. That was number 2 for you. I'm waiting to see if it was Liz. I know Liz was going into live selling. It was my first in a long time. Oh, not first in a long time, but not your first. Like coming back into it then. That's awesome. I hope it went well for you. Good. Noelle told me he called me. I was on a work call and he called me. So I muted and I came off camera. I was on like a Zoom call. I came off of it and I'm like, what do you need? I'm on a call. He's literally, this is what our day's like. He's upstairs. I'm downstairs at my desk. He's like, Liz is on and she's live shopping. You should turn her on. I'm like, I'm on a work call. Like, that's exactly what happened. We have these calls multiple times a day. He'll be like, such and such is on. You should turn them on. I'm like, I'm working. Like, I can't. I know. Stop the rest. But I mean, it's for you, but he does it for other people. And I'm like, I'm on phone calls. Like I'm on, there are times a lot of people can whatnot and work. I can do it a little bit, but a lot of times I'm on like video calls. So I don't do it as often as I would like to. With that though, I know that work, that just gets in the way of everything all the time. But it keeps the roof over my head, so I gotta keep the boss happy. I was telling her, she doesn't listen. I had my first show in your Wisdom and Crystals. Well, very good. I'm so proud of you. That is great. How did your first show go? Did you feel that it went good? The CVS is a game changer. Just saying. I am in my experiment stage of moving away from pre-listed. May not be for a while. I'm playing with it right now. But when I do pre-list, CVS all the way. Or CSV, whatever the initials are. The whole little alphabet. What is it? CSV. Yeah, okay. Had 9. Very good. Congratulations. Just keep at it. Keep at it. So, all right, you guys. We are going to go. I've had a long day. I am legit going to go climb in bed and watch a movie and listen to the rain outside because it is storming here. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I am going to be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We are doing Elegant and Timeless, so everything behind me will be random polls tomorrow. There is also a video if you go to the show so you can like see everything in a little more detail than trying to send it our way, please. Yeah, the rain. Oh, I love listening to the rain outside. So I hope to see some of you tomorrow. And if not, have a wonderful weekend. The Reselling Roundtable will be on Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube. So totally catch that because we're going to have a good debate. What's our topic this week? I don't know what our topic is. We're going to have a good debate on something that I better go figure out what it is so I can get some notes ready for Sunday. With that, we're going to go raid I Love Discounts. You guys, they are selling records for the first time. Go and give them some love. Throw a bunch of ducks in the chat. I want Tony to like stop and turn the camera around, and I want to get a Tony talk when I go in there. So let's go do that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate y'all. Oh, you got it. You're faster than me.